Members, I'm Clint Skutchan, CEO and Director of Realtor and Consumer Advocacy for the Fort Collins Board of Realtors. Here tonight, as has already been stated by my leadership team, to offer our support for this plan. You've received a letter that outlines a lot of the details that went into that, and I want to thank staff because I'm one of those folks that pores over the 50+ pages line by line and then has, of course, my suggestions, and so they've been great to work with. And frankly, the inclusion of the water elements as well as the overall infrastructure concerns were something that were of great importance to us. We thank you for that inclusion. The reason for that being is that we understand this is an affordable housing plan, but housing affordability is really something that needs to be focused on when thinking in terms of affordable housing. When you think about every dollar that goes into the top for the costs of overall housing, that's compounded by the time it gets to the bottom. So it takes 2 to 3 times the amount to be able to subsidize and take care of those affordable housing needs. So it's important to make sure that we're looking at the top line item. And to that end, as was mentioned, and I wrote a column about this in the community, we have financial commitments that we're willing to make to help the city actually put together a regional conversation. We've reached out to our fellow realtor boards around the region, and they have expressed interest in also working with that and to help facilitate that conversation. Clearly, our footprint from a housing standpoint goes well beyond our borders and into other communities, so that's an important item for us. I do want to thank staff for the inclusion of the metrics. I think it's a great inclusion. It's oftentimes we get to these plans and we have grandiose ideas, but we don't set forth metrics and I think some real goals to achieve. And so I think they've done a great job with that. To that end, earlier today you received a version of our monthly housing report that includes a housing index. Affordability index, I should say. We would offer that up. I know there's a current one that's being used by staff and utilized. And while that has merit and validity, I think what we're offering is a locally sourced MLS data that's been cleaned and scrubbed that shows you on a month-to-month basis where your affordable housing is at. So we'd love if the city would consider utilizing that. It's a resource that we've invested in that we want the community to take advantage of, and that would include you as the city. So please do give some consideration to that. We are open to and supportive of the land bank conversations that you're currently having and looking at the units that they're showing would produce. It seems to be something that definitely now is the time to build that program out and take advantage of those land holdings. Also, we want to make sure that we also express our thanks for the willingness to look at recalibrating the fees and those types of things so they're not regressive towards smaller, more affordable developments. It was a concern of ours when this conversation came forward a couple years ago that this might happen, and so great to see this included in this conversation here this evening as well. And then finally, workforce housing is an issue as well, and we have resources there that we'd be willing to tap into to help with this conversation. Thank you so much for your work on this.